Our next act are pianists. With their musical interpretation of what a man can do with the technology of advanced medical institutes.
Sniff
and Stiff. That's a hard act to follow.
Could you teach me to play like Sniff and Stiff again?
Yeah, sure. Call Advanced Medical Institute and they can show you how. Call 1-800-60-10-10.
G'day, I'm David A. Elliott. Just caught me there doing a bit of reminiscing about that ad. Okay, so I thought it's about time I made a video about this ad, since it's probably what I've been most famous for in my life. I think I need to find something else though. Anyway, what I intend to do in this video is talk a little about this commercial, my experiences and the complaints, the sort of 15 minutes of fame I had, how people treated me differently and that sort of thing. I'll talk a bit about the imitators of this commercial, though actually this commercial's idea is not original anyway, but I'll talk about that too. And the other thing I'll talk about is how it has influenced my life in some ways, good, bad and whatever. But anyway, I thought the best way to approach it was to talk in chronological order. I've made a few notes, so you might see me looking at those now and then, just to have some idea where I'm going and try not to miss too much out when I talk about it. So we start on the 6th of December 2005. It was an email I got a bit after 8 p.m. from my agent. Yeah, the email was basically saying this was a commercial that was coming up. It was a new production company. They were intending to only pay $500, but they expected in future they would get a lot more work and be able to pay more. And the impression I got, I don't know if it was at that time or a bit later, was it was likely to be something that would only be on late night TV and probably only be on air for a month or two. But as we know, if you know this commercial in Australia, it went on for 5 years. In any case, the audition was 2 days later on the 8th at 10:30. I was originally told the audition would be at the advertising agency's premises, but it ended up being at Advanced Medical Institute's offices at Alexandria. I was also told that the shoot would be on the 14th of December, but it was actually turned out to be the 20th, which is not that uncommon that they get put off to a later date, but that was the original plan. So the audition was at 10:30 in the morning. I got there, was just basically an ordinary office in an old building that you might find anywhere else. Basically, for the audition, what they got me to do was to stand up, which I did. I'm a bit out of shot here, but anyway, I'll give you the idea. And they said, put your hands in the air like that, which is what I did. So like that. And the next bit was to jump up and down. So I went jump, 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 jump. And my memory was I had shorts on and stuff in the pocket, so everything was bouncing around, you might say. And they were laughing and seemed to like it, so went very well. So anyway, on the 13th of December, I got an email saying I'd been shortlisted for the commercial. And on the 16th, they sent a clip of music, which I'll play now. So you get the idea, and it was basically we had to prepare to that music. And there was also a video clip attached, a small format one. And my understanding is that it is a skit from Saturday Night Live in America. Possibly, I think it was sometime in the 1990s that it was done. So I'll play you that clip now.
Ladies and gentlemen, after the last time we had these guys on the show, we received an outpouring of cards and letters. They've just returned from a sold-out tour of Europe. They'll be performing at the Tropicale in Las Vegas starting June 14th. Please welcome back to the show the fabulous Friedkin Brothers!
Okay, I'll just keep it in the background because it's very poor quality, and I'll continue talking while that is, and you can get the idea, but yeah. So, as you can see, the concept was not an original idea. The presentation might have been a bit different, but in effect, the creators of this commercial, that's where they got the idea from, obviously. So then it was shot on the 20th of December at the Seymour Centre at Chippendale. Yeah, it was in the downstairs theatre. My call time was 7 a.m. So I live in Newcastle. Sydney is about 150 kilometres away. Can't 100% remember, but I'm pretty sure I probably caught the train down, so it would have been a very early morning. But even if I drove, still have to leave very early to get there by 7 to guarantee it. So the 7 o'clock call was get all the makeup and clothing and all that sort of stuff done, and to be on set ready to shoot at 8 a.m. So they actually shot two versions, as they were doing a Japanese version at the same time. So there was the two of us for the Australian version, and there were two Japanese actors for the Japanese version. I actually haven't seen that. I might hunt around before I edit this and see if I can find that version.
次のパフォーマンスペニストでご紹介するのは AMI の新技術で男に何ができるかさあどうぞ
俺もあんな風になれるかな。
もちろんそれでは AMI にお電話くださいどうすればいいかわかりますよそれでは AMI のフリーダイヤルどうすればわかりますよ
So what was happening is they'd set up for one shot, they'd do one pair of us, and then they would get us to go out and then bring in the Japanese pair, and they would do their version, which was pretty much identical. And so it went on like that. The announcer, who I believe is now living in Los Angeles, he got a bit more involved and full on with the acting than us two piano players. But anyway, that's another story. Yeah, so his call time was 10:30 to start at 11:30. Basically what happened is we did all our shots at the piano, and also at the end where you see us bowing. Then, so there was no actual audience. There was just us doing our piano playing. So when we finished up, I remember the person playing the announcer, he'd already arrived. I also had the older guy that he was talking to. Yeah, if you're from Newcastle, you might remember, 15, 20 years ago, there were commercials for lawyers called Bale Boshev Lawyers, and the older guy, he was the spokesman for those commercials at the time. If my memory serves me correctly, anyway, yep, no, I'm pretty sure of that. So anyway, we finished our bit, and those two had turned up, they'd got ready, and I think they'd started shooting a bit of the announcer was practicing. Actually, I remember with that, he did his bit of rehearsal, and then the director, I think it was, said to him, "Okay, now can you do that in an American accent?" And he said, "That was my American accent." Yeah, so actually they had been planning to do it for the American market as well. So they wanted him to do an Australian and an American accent. But anyway, us two piano players, effectively the audience weren't even there when we left. But that is the magic of film. And actually I think they were shooting it on film from memory. I also remember that the head of Advanced Medical Institute, he was there with someone else, probably one of the high executives in that organisation. And what was his name? I think it's Jack Vaisman. I'll put a correction if not. Yeah. So from memory, they shook our hands, thanked us, and yep, we left. Now, while I think of it, I should mention that we were mere actors. Before that, I had never heard of Advanced Medical Institute or their products they advertise. I knew nothing about them. And as an actor, we were just doing an act that we thought was fun. We're not required to know if the product's any good or not. I'm not saying it's not. I don't want to be sued, but anyway, yeah. That's because I was looking at them. I thought they went bankrupt years ago, but I did look them up, and apparently they still operate. I think they've become a bit more calm in how they promote themselves. I think trying to be more professional, trying to appear more medically, professionally, yeah. But anyway, I'm not saying the product's great. I'm not saying it's bad. That is not my role. I'm an actor. I just get directed, and often they call us warm props. We're just a prop to show the product. We were told that they were planning to have it edited by mid-January and it would be on TV soon after that. I don't know when it actually did start to appear, but by early March 2006, a few people I knew did tell me they had seen the commercial on TV. And it did tend to play late at night on SBS, though I did see it a few times on midday TV, but generally late at night. Yes, and the ad kept playing and playing, became very popular. I did get the feeling a lot of people did recognise me out on the street. Not many people said anything, but I found people to be more friendly. They'd smile at you, people you didn't know. If I went into a shop, the people working there would be more friendly. After the commercial went off air, I had noticed that changed and I got treated like everyone else. Walk into the shop, if they're busy, you got to jump up and down to get attention, but not during that time period. I do remember one occasion I bought a large TV at David Jones. They were very expensive then. I think it was about $5,000, but anyway. And I did look a few times. Then when I decided to buy, I went in. The salesman that served me said, yep, he had noticed me, knew me for that commercial, then told me because if you tell them you've seen something cheaper elsewhere, you can get a discount. He did that for me. I also bought a Blu-ray player and a few other things. I think in the end, I got about $500 off, so might have helped that way. Yes, actually, the last time that I can recall someone recognising me was in February, or someone at least acknowledging they recognised me from that ad, was February 2013. It turns out I was working as a parking officer then, which I did for 12, 18 months, but anyway, don't hold that against me. And it's probably best if I read you what I put on Facebook the next day. Yesterday I was booking a car at Honeysuckle and I saw this young guy looking at me for a while. He starts walking towards me and I'm thinking, what smart comment is he going to make? Because most of the verbal abuse, etc., would come from young males. Early 20s, late teens, yeah. Usually when they're driving past and a bit of a coward act, but yeah, they just drive past, yell something stupid, but sometimes they do it in your face. Anyway, getting back to this. He starts walking towards me and I'm thinking, what smart comment is he going to make? He gets to about 10 metres away and he says, were you in that Sniff and Stiff ad? I said, could have been. He said, you were playing the piano. I said, that'd be the one. He said, awesome. I can't believe he recognised me from an ad that hasn't been on TV for at least 2 years while I'm dressed in full parking officer uniform with fluoro vest, big blue Newcastle council hat and dark sunglasses. That ad must have made me more famous than I thought. Anyway, that was the last I know of anyone recognising me from that commercial, and I've been just like everyone else. Yeah, so in late September 2006, I was contacted by Amy Edwards, who wrote articles in a column called The Word in the Newcastle Herald, which was basically the local entertainment industry. And she wanted to do an article on me. And this appeared in the Newcastle Herald on the 2nd of October. So I'll just read a couple of little bits out of it. It's taken a long time for actor David Elliott to be able to joke out loud about his appearance in an Erectile Dysfunction advertisement. It's not that Elliott is embarrassed about performing in the TV commercial for the Advanced Medical Institute, which sees him playing a piano with his pants down and hands raised in the air. It's because the New Lambton resident, which I don't live there anymore, has been without his proper voice since 2003. A former maths teacher, Elliott first tried acting in 1994 before running into vocal problems at the end of 2002. I was in singing lessons at the time and I stedford, and my voice didn't seem right, he said. Nodules were discovered. No, they weren't nodules. They're actually a viral growth. But anyway, nodules were discovered on Elliot's vocal cords, and several operations followed by complications continued for years, leaving him with not much more than a whisper. The worst of it's gone now, Elliot told The Word this week. Before that, it was virtually impossible to get a speaking role. Now remember, I actually, my ENT, throat specialist at the time, he actually found a possible solution for it, and I began the procedures a couple of months before. Before that, was considered inoperable, no treatment. But yep, he tried this treatment and it had started to work. But unfortunately, it seems like it's come back again this year, but not as bad, and looking into getting the treatments again. Anyway, continue. Determined to continue his acting career despite his hoarse voice, Elliot performed in non-speaking roles with Newcastle Repertory Theatre and in television advertisements for Advanced Medical Institute, Greater Building Society and KFC. Elliot believes his acting actually improved when he lost his ability to speak properly because he worked on his body language and facial expressions to communicate more effectively. Sometimes I'd have entire conversations with people and they didn't realise I hadn't said a word, he said. Elliot, who is with Newcastle agency Genus Dodge Management, plans now to take those skills and gain some major speaking roles. Okay, that didn't work out. Yeah, anyway, those conversations, yeah, maybe now and then I might have said, but generally, or over there, or facial expressions. There were a couple of times I was contacted to do roles, which they said they tracked me down from the commercial. One was in 2010, a University of Technology student in Sydney who was doing a student film and actually was basing it on that ad, and he wanted to have a stop motion scene in it. I'm not sure how that went, but anyway, I never actually got to see it. The other time was in September 2013. I was contacted by Stuart McBratney, who was making a feature film, basically a low, no budget thing, so no payment. The film was called Pop-Up. I had a support role speaking. I found it pretty good. It won a few awards around the world. I'll put a link in the comments and you can have a look at that. There were actually two main questions I remember getting asked at the time. One was, gee, you must have been paid a fortune for that. But it was only $500. The other one was, are you really playing the piano with your... And you don't want to destroy the illusion, so I sort of just say an offhand comment, usually, it was all done with mirrors or something along those lines, but yeah. We actually wore underpants, but anyway. Okay, I'll get back to the $500 payment I received. It seems it was some sort of buyout agreement for screening in Australia, but it did run out either a year later or 3 years later. There was some confusion. But anyway, beginning of 2009, we being the actors and our agent, tried to pursue additional payment, which initially there was indicated there was agreement to paying us something like $15,000, but there was some objection to that. It seemed the original makers of it were with another production company, and there was a lot of legal arguments and claims that we had to go back to the original production company, even though our agreement was with that production company. They were continuing to screen it and getting money. But anyway, there were lawyers involved, they got legal advice saying we weren't entitled to anything, and in the end, after 6 months of arguing, it was too complex to pursue. But anyway, so that's why I was only paid $500. Anyway, I'll move on, and it continued to have a life, like at times, because Advanced Medical Institute would get a lot of complaints about their advertising, like the longer lasting sex billboards, and I think there was also some legal things to do with their products. But anyway, that's not my issue. And it would appear in the news, and often they would play this ad as part of the news, or I think even the Gruen, I think it was called the Gruen transfer at the time, they had an item on the ad, but more about the creative side of it. But the last time I can recall it cropping up in the media was an article, the 2nd of January 2016, in the Daily Telegraph. And it was basically looking at the Advertising Standards Bureau's complaints from its formation in 1998 up to the time. And there were 3 commercials from the Advanced Medical Institute that got complaints that were in the top 10. The first was at number 5, and that was described as the want longer lasting sex billboards that I mentioned before, which it said was a 2007 complaint. The next one, number 8. This was a 2010 commercial. A woman appears to stand on husband's erect penis. I don't remember that one, but anyway. And the commercial I appeared in, number 10. Men appear to be playing piano with their penises. And as you can see, as I've probably had it behind, the main picture they use is that one. So obviously it's the most obvious one. So I went and had a look at the Advertising Standards Bureau site, and the only thing I found about the top 10 since 1998 was at the end of 2014. So whether the Daily Telegraph were using a year-old article, I don't know, but looking at that, it actually lists how many complaints there were. So the number 1 had 481 complaints, and the next, and number 10 being us, 217. So about half the number, or a bit under half the number of the top 1. But the bottom 5 were all within about 50 of each other in numbers of complaints. Anyway, I then went and had a look at the actual complaint for the commercial. And it actually lists some of the comments, and this included: what made this particularly distasteful was two men supposedly playing the piano with their penises. Is this really necessary? How did this get to air? To add insult to injury, I thought that soliciting for sex was illegal. People wonder why teenagers are so sexually active and why societal mores are slipping. What a surprise! It's in their faces all the time, and the media promotes it. And there was another one that said, I find this ad offensive because I believe there is more appropriate way of relaying this information by way of your local GP. So, yeah, what I found is this ad, people either loved it or hated it. But anyway, there wasn't any real in between. People found it hilarious or disgusting. Yep, and anyway, the complaints were dismissed, obviously, because the ad kept going on and on and on for years. Now I'll move on to what appear to be imitators. Now the first was another Advanced Medical Institute ad. I can only recall seeing it once, and I found it very cringy. Like, if you look at the piano playing ad we made, you can at least tell where, well, yeah, obviously we're pretending, but we're moving and playing, appearing to play the notes as it would fit the music. But you watch this ad and, yeah, it's all over the place. Like, it's obvious that he's not playing the piano. At least we looked like we were playing the piano. So it was, yeah, done on the cheap. So, and I don't think I was the only one that thought that, because in the complaints, like if you look at the Advertising Standards Bureau complaints, it says, nobody cares to see these ads about penile erection dysfunction at the best of times. But this advert is cheesy, offensive and embarrassing to watch. Yeah, I pity the poor actor that did this, because, yeah, they've made him look bad, in my opinion anyway. Actually, they've made all the actors look bad. So I did find the commercial, so I'll play it and you be the judge of what I've just said.
Our second act today is a young pianist.
Jim, it's obvious you have some talent, but you need to be able to go the distance. I suggest you go see the doctors at AMI.
If you suffer from premature ejaculation and want to play all night, call the doctors at AMI now on 1800 211 211.
Anyway, I'll now play you a few bits and pieces I found on YouTube of imitators, or maybe not copying ours, because as I said, it was copied originally from Saturday Night Live, so that might be where these people actually got the idea, I think. Though, that said, my understanding is this commercial played definitely in New Zealand and possibly the US and the UK and who knows wherever else. Yeah, but I'm confident it was in New Zealand because I was told that. Plus, I did start a fan page on Facebook when after I did this commercial. I did get up over the 300 number. That page is still there if you want to join, and I'm going to start trying to promote these videos on that page and use this as the first one. Among the imitators, as I said, we have the Ukrainian President, whose name is Volodymyr Zelenskyy. He was actually a comedian who had a TV series from 2015 to 2019 where he played a person who accidentally ends up being the president of the Ukraine. And in 2019, the actor who played the president of the Ukraine in that TV series became the president himself. So, hence, definitely fits the life imitating art idea. And another one is one of these whatever's got talent. I think it's the Greek one, and I'll try and throw in a few other bits and pieces I find.
The choices.
E.
I'm David A. Elliott. Have a good one and see you around like a ristle.